poor people don't understand money. What do I mean? I've said this before, I'll say it again. Poor people think the primary purpose of money is paying bills. And because they think the primary purpose of making money is paying bills, they only seek to make enough money to pay their bills. That's one of the reasons people stay poor. If you want to go from being poor to being wealthy, you have to get to the place in your life, either through cutting your expenses or increasing your income, where you have some discretionary income left over at the end of all of your bills being paid. If you don't have any discretionary income left over, then you're either spending too much or you're not making enough, or a combination of both. Now, one of the reasons poor people have a hard time creating wealth and making enough money, like in their, quote, spare time, I'm gonna call it discretionary time, in their discretionary time, is because when you first start a business, generally speaking, it doesn't matter what the business is. It could be real estate, it could be insurance, it could be network marketing, it could be selling jewelry online, it could be affiliate marketing, it doesn't matter. When you first get started as a business, you don't generally come out of the gate making money. And because we've been programmed to get an education for the purpose of selling our time to the highest bidder, when we can't get paid initially, we're so addicted to a paycheck that we quit the business because we expected it to pay like a job. We expected it to pay us just for showing up. And businesses don't do that. Businesses only pay you for producing a result for someone other than yourself. Okay, cool. So get to the place in your life where you're making more money and you're cutting your expenses. Cool. So it's easy to get rich if, number one, you think like a rich person. Okay, how does a rich person think? Well, yeah, the rich person thinks positive and poor people think negative. Okay, that's fine. Rich people believe their beliefs and doubt their doubts, and poor people believe their doubts and doubt their beliefs. Yeah, that too. But there's more to it than that. When I say think like a rich person, here's what I mean. If you're gonna think like a wealthy entrepreneur, what you have to do is you have to think about, how can I solve a big problem? Think about that. People will pay you in direct proportion to the problem you solve for them. The bigger the problem, the bigger the paycheck. So, how can I solve a big problem? Do you understand Martha Stewart became a billionaire teaching women how to be better homemakers? Why? Because there's a big pool of people out there who want to be better homemakers, but their mom didn't teach them. Oh, I get it. How long do you have to go to a physical therapy school to become a physical therapist? After your 4-year degree. You have to go to school for 3 more years. So, and they, since you paid for the first 4, they let you have the last 3 for free, right? Absolutely not. You have to pay for that as well. How much money do you make in the first 4 years of learning how to be a physical therapist? 0. How much money do you make in those 3 years after your undergraduate degree? How much money do you make during that time? Negative 0. So you're making less. You're literally just spending money for 7 years so that you can build the skills to solve people's physical problems. Man, when I got physical problems, when I have ailments, man, there's no price I won't pay. Like, to get out of pain, like, there's no price I won't pay. Anyway, solve a big problem. You have to solve a big problem. So you have to think like a problem solver. Let me ask you, whose problem are you seeking to solve right now? I promise you, if you're struggling your way through life right now, the only person's problem you're seeking to solve is your own. That's why you're stuck. Because you're self-consumed and self-absorbed. Figure out how to solve other people's problems. So once you figure out a solution to a big problem, the next thing you have to do is you have to serve a big pool of people. So you solve a big problem, and then you serve that solution to a big pool of people. The bigger the problem and the bigger the pool of people, the more money you make. It's like, it's so simple, a 3rd grader can understand it. This is not hard stuff. Like, I do know how to do some hard stuff, but I do my best to do the more leveraged stuff first, and then pay people to do the hard stuff, like cutting my grass, cleaning my pool, right? So you serve a big pool of people. Some of you aren't making money because the problem you solve isn't big enough. And as an entrepreneur, the problem you solve is a problem you desire to solve, but nobody desires to pay to have it solved. That's why you're struggling to be an entrepreneur, because you desire to solve a problem nobody wants to solve. But I wanted to do this for a living all my life. That has nothing to do with anybody out there. The other problem is you're wanting to solve the problem, but you're solving that problem for too small a pool of people. So when you think like a rich person, you think, okay, how can I solve this problem? How can I solve this problem? And then you figure out a solution. Ideally, you optimize that solution. After you optimize that solution, you systemize that solution. And then what you can do is you can monetize that solution. Why? Because you figured it out. You made it smooth. You took out all the bumps, all the hiccups. And then you made it available to a whole lot of people who have that problem. And then sell a better product. Better than what? Better than the products they have now that are solving that problem. And why do I say sell a product? Because you remember I'm going to do some millionaire math now. So there are two types of businesses. How many types? Two. Talk to me, everybody. How many types? Two. You either have a business that sells a product, or you have a business that sells a service. If you have a business that sells a service that you have to fulfill, that service is anchored, that's an anchor, to time. Is time something you have in limited supply or unlimited supply? Limited supply. So if you anchor your solution to time, which is what you have in limited supply, then that solution, the money that can make you is going to be limited. Why? You only have so much time, right? So, but if you anchor it to a product, like a book, right? If you anchor it to a product like a book, then it takes no longer to sell 100,000 books than it does to sell one. So what happens is, because once I take my business and I productize my solution, if I have a book that makes me $20 profit, all I have to do is sell 50,000 books. Now, I made that sound like an oversimplification. All I have to do is sell 50,000 books. Because 50,000 is a large number. But 50,000, how do I sell 50,000 books? Well, first, here's what you got to do. You got to write the book. And the book has to solve a big problem for a big pool of people. And then what you do is you find people on the internet who have the attention of that big pool of people, and you get some of those people to interview you in front of their audience. And then you talk about the solution. You don't talk about the book. You talk about the solution that you solve, and then at the end, you let them know they can buy the book if they want to know more. Okay? You sell 50,000 books. 50,000. If you're multiplying two numbers that end in zero, you multiply two whole numbers. 5 times 2 is 10. Then you count the zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Congratulations, you're a millionaire. Now this is why I'm saying, like, you sell a product. Now, you could take that same product and enhance it, move this zero off the back of this number, put it on the back of that number, and sell a $200,000 course or audio program, and now you only have to sell 5,000 units to make the same $1 million. And then if you move another zero, and you turn it into a $2,000 home study course, you only need to sell 500. Guess what? 500 is like 10 a week for a year. 10 a week is 2 a day, 5 days a week. You can have weekends off and 2 weeks of vacation and still make $1 million a year. Or you can move another zero and have a $20,000 mastermind. You don't have to sell 50. That's 1 a week. Or you could have a $200,000 VIP day and only sell 5. And you make $1 million.